Namaste and good afternoon to everyone. As always, it gives me immense pleasure in welcoming all of you back this Friday afternoon in the sixth session of STPI Pulse, the knowledge series for transformative ideation. As Director Innovation and Startup Promotion, Software Technology Parks of India, and CEO of AIC STPI Next Initiatives, it is great honor and privilege to bring the distinguished speakers from industry and government in this session of STPI Pulse again. A very good afternoon to my distinguished keynote speakers, Rajiv Chilaka ji, a self-made entrepreneur and better known as creator Chota Bheem, Sridhar Muppidi, someone who has knack of riding the technology curve as always, whether it was being the first from India to have launched various apps and online games on iOS platform, or whether it is now, whether it's taking the various, initiatives of IoT and others in his company. Dr. Rai, DG STPI India, a seasoned technocrat and a visionary who has championed the cause of Indian IT industry and its growth over a decade now as distinguished speakers. So welcome Shri Rajiv ji, Sridhar ji and Dr. Rai. I also welcome all my STPI directors and my esteemed colleagues from various STPI centers pan-India, and also more than, I think currently I can see on AirMeet itself around 500 people, but there are good amount of people there on Facebook live pages as well. So I welcome all attendees watching us live on Facebook live page of STPI India. STPI Pulse, an online webinar series, is a pioneering initiative of STPI where speakers of global repute have been sharing their knowledge, experience and insight for the benefit of IT community at large. Through this series and its past sessions with speakers like Subrata Bakshi, Krish Gopalakrishnan, Dr. Omkar Rai, Arun Jain, Mohit Saxena, Saurabh Srivastav, our aim of spreading the knowledge has been continuously being delivered. I'm sure with the deliberations and inputs and insights from these sessions is helping Indian IT industry and startups in gaining confidence in charting new strategies to become more resilient and staying not just afloat, but potentially emerge as leaders post this global crisis. I think our aim to STPI Pulse was started with the opportunities or the challenges which are there presented because of COVID, but I'm sure this series will go a long way in its promise of delivering real and meaningful information. It gives me immense pleasure to inform you that STPI Pulse has been hugely watched and has had combined viewership across various sessions, close to almost 12,000 views so far now, which is a very, very remarkable for a series which just started around 5 weeks back. So once again, I thank my audience and all my STPI colleagues in order of spreading this information. COVID-19 outbreak has lodged an overwhelming humanitarian crisis in terms of demands. On one side, it's medtech sector, which has been seen the upsurge, but at the same time, the various sectors like entertainment, online communication, gaming, education, etc., have seen a disruptive change due to the lockdown being imposed. While in one space, in terms of funding and in terms of finance, a lot of startups and even established players are facing challenges with respect to finance. But at the same time, innovative ideas, good startups, targeting the new opportunities, they are probably already marching ahead. And post this COVID scenario, I'm sure, and through deliberations with a lot of industry leaders like you, I'm sure they will emerge as huge success stories. And one of the example is what we are using platform called AirMeet today. AirMeet has been, very good, with just a year old, not even a year old, just 6 month old startup. And I think they have created a wonderful platform as we speak further. So keeping in mind, today's topic of this webinar is COVID-19, a steroid for growth of animation, VFX, gaming, and eSports industry. In this session, we will deliberate further how the rising demand of digital consumption and of engagement with respect to HD visual experiences, is creating an opportunity. What are the opportunities for startups in creating new content, new immersive experiences? What is where is the growth going to come from? Whether it's education sector, whether it's entertainment sector, whether it's animation, or whether all of these will present a total bouquet of opportunities. What is the role of innovation and creativity, right? And I think today with my leaders, we would like to hear more on that. Also, STPI has startup through Image, which is a center of excellence in gaming, animation, VFX, computer vision, and AI at Hyderabad, in collaboration with various partners, including TVAGA, HISIA. We expect and we are working on enabling support ecosystem for the startups in this particular sector to rise. So today, I'm sure our speakers will further speak upon what are the opportunities, what are the challenges, and where are the growth going to come from. With that, Let me introduce my first speaker for the session, Dr. Omkar Rai. Dr. Omkar Rai, Director General, Software Technology Parks of India, a premier government organization under Ministry of Electronics and IT, has been working for the promotion of the IT, ITS, ESDM industry in India. Dr. Rai has contributed immensely in repositioning STPI with focus on innovation and dispersal of the IT, ITS, and ESDM industry. With over 25 years of experience, with a unique distinction of enabling a close working of government and industry, has been his hallmark. Since 2012 onwards, he has been very, very vocal in speaking in support of India emerging as software product nation. And as brand ambassador of Indian IT industry, I think there is a lot of vision which has come forward, and we will continue to look forward for that vision. He's within STPI, with his vision, we are on the path of creating multiple centers of excellence. We are also going to soon launch new scheme called Next Generation Incubation Scheme with a focus of helping and supporting tier two startups in tier two cities. Similarly, a lot of whether it was BPO promotion scheme, whether it was starting of the Fab Lab or Maker Lab culture inside in STPI, there are pioneering initiatives which have happened under his leadership. He's also serving chairman for AIC STPI Next initiatives. He's in the director. He has been on the board of directors of MTNL STPI IT Services. He has been on the board of directors of Heartron, and he has also served on board of NIXI, which is the National Internet Exchange of India. He has been with this because of his, and recently, I think, he has been appointed chairman of the IT and ITS sectional committees for Bureau of Indian Standards as well. He has been the member of the governing body of School of Open Learning, Delhi University, and also in the board of governors for the International Triple IT Bhubaneswar and Executive Council of Shri Vishwakarma Skill University. He is also the member of Standing Committee on Coordination Forum of Triple ITs of Ministry of Home, Ministry of HRD and Government of India. For his enormous contribution as government leader and also towards exemplifying the vision of Mahamana Pandit Madan Mohan Malvi in public fora, BHU, which is his alma mater, has conferred the Distinguished Alumnus Award on Dr. Rai. For his outstanding contributions in bringing transformative changes in IT industry, recently the GLA University has conferred the honorary doctorate in science, and sometime back, leading Indian newspaper called Indian Express has also conferred the Digital Icon Award to Dr. Rai. So with that note, and I request Dr. Rai, an alumni of BHU, to be on this platform. Sir, over to you now.
Thank you. Thank you, Subodhji, for a very amplified introduction. So on my own behalf also, I must welcome both the speaker, Sridhar Muppidi, and Shri Rajiv Chilaka. I had an honor of meeting both of you rather, during my last visit to Hyderabad. And I was very impressed, and I am very thankful to you for joining us, and also for helping us in a smooth implementation of our Image Center of Excellence that is dedicated for becoming a center of excellence in gaming, animation, visual effect, computer vision, and AI. I think this steroid for growth of animation, VFX gaming, and eSport industry webinar that has been launched this time under STPI Pulse Knowledge Series program. I must congratulate STPI and all of you for thinking about this very topic. You know that during this COVID-19 lockdown, India has seen many advances, many new phenomena, new norms. First of all, we have seen that people have shown their tendency to become more digital. So digital adoption in India has grown many-fold in quality and in quantity. We have seen Indians, actually it is difficult for one to change its habit. But this pandemic lockdown has exposed our people, our citizens, towards digital technologies, digital platforms, in digital entertainment, digital media, digital world, eSports, gaming. So they have been forced in a way to resort to adopt to these digital medium, digital platforms, digital tools, so that they could spend time and learn few things. And then that has led to a lot of surge, spike in the uses of these kind of platforms, and that has actually created a kind of foundation for a post-COVID India, which would be a different kind of India, because the kind of adoption the Indians have shown towards webinar culture, the collaborative platforms, is a tremendous. The data usage within India has grown significantly, and people are actually becoming more and more digital every day that is passing. The content utilization like Netflix, Amazon Prime, Apple TV has seen a lot, ever growing subscription in consumer base, and that has exhibited the digital appetite of ordinary Indian. We know that India is the very populous 1.3 billion strong country, and that makes us a very large market, a huge market. And this culture that is growing in India actually opens up a possibility of lot of things in the field of education, media, entertainment, gaming, sport, while using the technologies like animation, AR, VR, and such others. What I'm trying to say is that the new norm would be that more and more Indians would have tendency to be more digital in terms of adopting digital media, digital entertainment, digital gaming, eSports, digital educational platforms. And there, all these technologies like animation, VFX, AR, and VR are going to play a major role. We know that at the same time, the world over, the gaming, online gaming or digital gaming platforms, the whole market is going to be $196 billion. And as of now, India is at $1.5 billion. And that statistics suggests that in times to come, if we play our cards rightly, and could create an ecosystem, an infrastructure, and an enabling environment, sensitization, awareness, and play as a co-player in the entire country, then we will be the people who will be largely benefited from the kind of learning and experience we are passing through right now. We know we are a strong IT services industry destination with about 44 lakhs engineers working in various sectors of technology. They are the people who bring the advantage of the cost arbitrage in terms of development of these products and platforms. At the same time, we are the largest, one of the largest populous country, most populous country, second most populous country, and that makes it is a very big market for anything that we do. We have a kind of educational system where technologies have not been used too much. What we are seeing right now is that the classrooms that we had previously have been replaced by webinars. We are yet to see the actual implementation and utilization of cutting edge technologies like AR and VR, so that the entire pedagogy, the entire learning mechanism changes drastically, so that people can get a real classroom interactive experience by using immersive visualization technologies. And these technologies which I am just talking about are going to actually make happen a lot of revolution in terms of educational technologies, even in terms of medical technologies, gaming, and such other domains of knowledge, domains of. What I'm trying to say is that the, this country actually is passing through a kind of experience where the data utilization, the whole household broadband, fiber to home is getting so popular that even the supplier of these services are really, are on their toes to serve their customers. The people are demanding optical fiber connection to home, only because they are now data hungry. They have to have a lot of content. They have to watch films, movies. Another important aspect is that the entertainment, the education is actually transforming and moving fast towards your handheld devices, from classroom to laptop, from classroom to mobile. Similarly, from a cinema hall to your home. So entire things are coming closer to you, to your homes, to your hands. And that the entire technological disruption that we are witnessing are actually an opportunity for us. So that post-COVID lockdown, we put our things together, use our demography, use our talent pool that we have in our IT industry of India. We use our large consumer market. We use our, training that Indians are currently passing through because of the kind of ever growing appetite for the digital content. So a lot of content creation. All these things put together, I foresee a great future. What I would try to say is that India is an industry-led nation. India has actually, it was the conscious decision of India when it opened its economy to make, it was the conscious decision that the entire things was held left to the decision and leading of the industry itself. Market driven economy was adopted, and therefore a lot of changes that we are witnessing right now, be it in medical technologies. You know that during this COVID times, a lot of interesting things have happened. Other day, I was discussing to people, even in the morning session with CIE Telangana. We know that the world-class ventilators have been created by a startup right in Hyderabad with 35,000 Indian rupees cost. It's a world-class ventilator. Unheard cost, unimaginable cost. The cost, we are actually not only maintaining a cost arbitrage in terms of delivering outsourcing service or services to our customers in Europe and US. But actually, most importantly, what we sometimes ignore is that the cost to develop technology and product in India is very less. And therefore, Indians can use and create a lot of technology indigenously. And during these COVID times, the world is seeing the potential and the kind of delivery that India is trying to, and performance India is doing. We are creating technologies. We are holding trial for COVID vaccine. We are creating vaccine. We are creating PPE kits or anything that is required. Suddenly, the entrepreneurial zeal of Indian has seen increase, a dramatic increase, a qualitative increase. At the same time, we have also seen that in terms of just collaborative platforms, like people are collaborating a lot digitally. There is a huge surge, both, I would again say, both qualitative and quantitative, in terms of people's collaboration, talking to each other through the digital platform. I mean, there is no cut in the activity of collaboration that was happening in past. We are holding the same number of conferences, same number of meetings, same number of speakers, even more. And so many people are actually coming using platforms like AirMeet, Google Meet, Hangout, Zoho, Zoom. All these platforms have got a hit in India. And Indians are actually now creating indigenous platforms too. The Ministry of Electronics and IT, we have launched a hackathon for a startup, a challenge grant program kind of thing for indigenous VC setup. Similar, similar challenge grants is yet to come from the ministry. Our centers of excellence are working even during these COVID times. We are able to, work. We have been able to launch Safe India hackathon from our Bhubaneswar center, and we have received a lot of entries. They have been evaluated. we are going to launch, as Subodh Sachan just said, next generation incubation program, which is meant to promote and support the startups which are dedicated, which want to create product and platform, so that India becomes a software product nation. At the same time, we also want to make sure that the smaller towns, tier 2 and tier 3 cities of this country, the young boys and girls from those destinations also join the startup movement of India. The whole next generation incubation program is aimed at that. With these few words, I would say that we have a very eminent panelist like Rajiv and Sridhar, and both are actually doing hands-on with gaming and animation, computer vision, and AI Center of Excellence in image in Hyderabad. So not only they are the eminent speaker, panelists, and experts of their field, but they are actually powering so many other things by their own hand. And that is why I am very glad, and I must say that the organizers, our colleague Subodh and his team, basically in STPI, it was a great job, and it was a great decision to pick up and to approach to both the eminent experts who are not only speakers but they are doers too. And particularly, I would say that Rajiv Chilaka is such a hit person. People are asking that, oh, Chota Bhim person is coming. I said, yeah, he's Chota. So with these few words, I must conclude myself, and I must extend my personal thank to both of you for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I think excellent to hear from you, and I think very you have set the the stage for having further deliberation with our speakers. So at this juncture, I would introduce my first speaker, which is Sridhar Muppidi, a very successful serial entrepreneur. Sridhar has founded and successfully led 4 companies: eMatrix Information Solution, Pantera Networks, PurpleTalk, and YesGnome. In its latest venture, which is YesGnome, an India-based mobile game developer, as a co-founder and CEO, Sridhar leads the company into developing world-class games for global audience. YesGnome's claim to fame games include Star Trek TREXELS 1 and 2, Adventure Time, KINGSMAN, and has been, I think, one of the key factors with YesGnome has been that they've been publishing their games across various gaming platforms, which includes Mobilityware, D3P, Congregate, and Backflip Studios, along with iOS and the Play Store. At PurpleTalk, Sridhar and his team has specialized in anticipating how technology and its uses will evolve. Every new technology adoption requires a wide variety of follow-up solutions. With this, PurpleTalk has been uniquely developing a lot of solutions with the use of latest technology. Sridhar is a well-known figure in the mobile gaming industry and has been actively contributing towards the growth of the gaming and animation industry in India by advocating the progress of this industry. He is also the founder of the industry, India Joy, which is India's largest digital media festival in India. Sridhar has also founded and as a chairman leads a non-profitable charitable organization known as Education for Free Research Center in Hyderabad. Education for Free Research has been giving various technology solutions to the schools, especially public funded schools of government schools, and has been enabling through his platform has been enabling in past collaborations which Dr. I spoke about. So I think that you have been pioneer to bringing a lot of these things. Sridhar started his career with I think his earlier venture Pantera, where he has led the development of the technology solutions. And further to that, eMatrix, which was sold off. I think YesGnome is where he's actively, both PurpleTalk is actively currently taking care of current developments. So over to Sridhar, and thank you for being there on this platform.
Thanks, Subodh. That's basically half of my deck you just ran through. But that said, we're having some technical difficulties, so I'm not sure how we're going to do the deck sharing. I mean, Subodh, do you want to try? Okay.
I've done that already.
Oh, perfect. So yeah, we're going to do a little hack here while I speak. Subodh will change the slide so we can move on. So I thought I'll spend a couple of minutes, few minutes quickly running through what Subodh just said, and then talk about India in general, the kind of opportunities we are seeing, and what happened with COVID, right? So that's what we wanted to discuss. So Subodh, can you move forward to the next slide? Yeah. Yeah, you can move forward to the. So I started my career with a company called Infotech Enterprises, which was now it's called Scient Technologies, I think. Back then it was called Infotech Enterprises, and so I started there as a programmer right out of school. I mean, right out of college, and they were doing this was way back in '99, and they were doing gaming projects. This was very new, shockwave based gaming, and I was very fortunate to be working on those kind of projects. And this was early days in voice technology, early days in web gaming. So I worked there for a couple of years, and then I went ahead and there was an opportunity. This was .com days, right? The early .com days. There was an opportunity, so I started my first company called eMatrix Enterprises, or Infosol, I think. It was basically a way to do like a live person chat support for websites. But think of this in 2000, 2000. So now you would probably see it everywhere 20 years later. But we were one of the first companies to think of that back then. Luckily, somebody wanted to build the same thing, and they were struggling. And we, being programmers, all the co-founders, we knew what we were doing. So we were able to sell that tech, and made some money. And so we did that. Then I started my next company, which was Pantera Networks, which was an evolution on what we were trying to do with Matrix, which was a live support thing. We wanted to see, hey, can we take that and go a little further and try to do it with phones, right? This is when the bandwidth, our broadband was becoming more popular, and so people had bandwidth. So can we move past the traditional phones and move voice over, over internet? Again, this was 2000, early 2000, so it was a new thing. Right now, everybody uses voice over internet, but which is what we are doing right now, voice over video or video over internet. But back then it was new, so we worked on actually the early protocol. Some of this tech works on,
How was it?
and
How was it?
so I was fortunate enough to co-found that company with somebody who was with this company called Web Telecom, which bought my eMatrix company. So we co-founded Pantera Networks, and that became a pretty big company. Subbu, can you move forward to the next slide? Yeah, I mean, so Xcube or PurpleTalk, this is another company we started, in 2008 when Apple was about to announce their SDK. If most of you might remember, in 2007, iPhone came out. And the moment I saw the iPhone, I knew the world was going to be different. I knew, and I think most of us did, right? It's like, it was weird because, it's weird as a programmer or as a tech guy. I used to have kind of sleepless nights thinking about how my parents will use a computer, because it's so scary to use a computer. And, and I also at the same time knew you got to use a computer. How are you going to survive without that, right? And that fear went away the moment I saw a, a smartphone or a phone like an iPhone, because they don't need a computer. They just need a phone which does everything a computer does, right? So yeah, I mean, we knew something big was around the corner. We just don't know how to take advantage of it till Apple announced that they're gonna open up their SDK. Anybody can build games. So we were probably the first company in India to release a game in the App Store. We had like 1 or 2 games in the App Store when there were like less than 70 games in the App Store. 70, right? Right now there are millions of games. So we started building games. Unfortunately, being in India, we got distracted, and we started helping out friends we knew with Subbu, you can move forward. With different kinds of text. It started with mobile apps, but now we do everything, right? That company does everything, and we've been very lucky and fortunate that way. And that company grew into almost 500, 600 people. Company serves. Subbu, can you move on to the next slide? Yeah, I mean, it's like, as you can see, it has a massive list of customers it serves, and it became a pretty big company. But my first love, I started my career with gaming. and I wanted to get back into gaming. And we've been helping out a lot of people build their games too. So like some of them went on to become like $1 billion companies now. But we were working with them, and they're like 1-2 founders still studying in college, right? So that was another reason we were like, okay, it's time we also put in that effort on ourselves, and we were financially well off to do it. So we started YesGnome, and the YesGnome has been working on only sort of IP based games, big games, because gaming. Unfortunately, is a hits-driven space, just like movie making. Either you're a hit or a flop. There's no middle ground, right? There is. It depends upon what kind of genre or type of games you're doing, but we feel like that's the thing. So something very interesting is happening in gaming, right? I'll get to in a minute. I'll quickly run through some of the games we've done. Okay, yeah. So Star Trek TREXELS, we've done a couple of games on it. Star Trek TREXELS and TREXELS 2. They were game of the day both times. They did incredibly well for us. Made us a little bit of money, and then we also licensed. Again, these games were international games. They were not India only. But as a small studio in India, we were like, it was a huge cube that we were able to get these kind of IPs, and and only other big studio which was able to get the kind of intellectual property we were able to is, I think, Reliance. But then they had to publish alone millions of dollars. We didn't have to. The next big game we did was Adventure Time, which Champions and Challengers, or which was a big RPG game, and did all right. Millions and millions of dollars. Maybe we could have done a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, it was also well received by both Apple and Google, and we well loved by people. Another recent game we released was based on an IP called KINGSMAN. It's a movie IP, and it's a stealth platformer puzzle, a genre mashup. But we released it as a premium game. We just wanted to see how it works, and it did all right. It could always do better. So we've done a lot of things at an international level. Lately, we've been thinking, what's going on in India? Can we do something in India? So we've launched some of our games in a new platform called MPL, and that's been doing really well for us. We've been very successful, and as you can see, 3 of our games are in the top 6 of MPL games right now. I mean, there are a lot more of our games in there, but 3 of them are in the top 6. So that's that's been a good platform for us, and we're going to continue supporting them. And if there are any game developers here, where I would recommend MPL, and you should definitely look at it. I mean, I'm not saying not over Apple and Google, but this is an alternative platform you should look at. So now to talk about what's happening in gaming, right? There is, if you look at what happened in before 2007 and now, right? What happened in last decade or so is, back then there were about 200 million people who used to play games, right? That is changed to 4 billion people who play games right now. Now, gaming doesn't mean, people shooting each other in PUBG or something else. You could do so much more with gaming now. Subodh, you can actually close it now. The buttons seem to be enabled, so I could just, or actually you can leave it here. There's only 2 slides left. So let me quickly talk about, something interesting which happened apart from mobile revolutions. For India, something interesting is geo effect, right? Most people probably don't even realize how big a deal it is. Is like in last 3 years, Geo has like added over 400 million subscribers, or around 4, and usage has gone up by almost 20x in terms of number of people downloading things, watching things. So there has been a massive change in how people consume internet, how people consume content on internet, right? And that's been the mobile growth we are seeing lately. That's because of the kind of impact, and I'm not saying Geo did it all, but Geo effect is in the sense the competitors had to wake up and start competing at last instead of, right? So as you can see, there were almost 10 odd mobile networks. Right now we only have 3 left. because I mean, which is good. There's enough competition, but at the end of the day, there's quality. The bandwidth costs have come down so that people can easily afford to be online and do stuff. So there is like a massive change which has happened in India in last 3 years, right? We are the second largest mobile platform, country after China. So this is something which is very exciting for us. We were, as you can see, we were 155 in terms of data consumption. Now we're like number one in the world before Geo. So it's interesting time for India to be a content developer for India, because people are consuming content. People are not new to it. People know how to do it. And the next slide. I want to talk about gaming in general before I talk about COVID, especially, right? India has over 500 odd gaming studios right now, and getting millions of downloads. We've got our first $1 billion company, which is Dream11, and I think there are at least 5 other companies which are going to be $1 billion companies in next 1-2 years from gaming space, which is very exciting time period for us. And as you can, a Chinese game, which is PUBG, makes over like $10 million a month being in India, right? Or maybe even more. During COVID time, I'm sure it skyrocketed, but it was before COVID. It was like averaging that kind of revenue. So it's huge. And there, India in overall has like billions of downloads. So the average in India is 80% of all mobile users are downloading at least one game. So that's like one in it's like 500 people or 500 million people are downloading a game every month. So that's a huge change which is happening. Let's talk about what changed with COVID for a minute. So one of the biggest, I'm going to talk about numbers first, and I'm going to put that in context for you guys for a minute. The biggest change is usage, the amount of time people spend or number of sessions people are spending on mobile per day has almost doubled, right? The increase in App Store, people downloading apps have gone up by 40%. The thing is, because of COVID, there's a huge, demand for content. At the same time, a lot of big market companies have stopped spending on marketing, right? So what this also presented game developers a incredibly cheaper way to acquire users or inexpensive way to acquire users. So the costs of user acquisition have come down drastically. It's just 30%, but it's like a way more than that. That's what we've also seen. And about over 70% increase in-app purchases. Now let me take an example like Ludo King, right, which is to give you some context on how these numbers translate into a well-known game. Around 5% or 4% of India plays Ludo King right now. They're seeing over 5 crore people play the game every day, which is like, and they are averaging about 48 minutes a day. Just to give you an idea of what that means is that's about 60 lifetimes a day. About 60 people are spending their whole lifetime on the game every day, right? Assuming people live 75 years, which, 60 people, right, in a day. So that's the kind of thing. And COVID for them presented like their revenues went up by 10x. Our revenues went up by 5x, right? So, imagine that. So they're like the number 4, number 5 downloaded game in the world right now because of this time period. So while the numbers, like when I say only 40% increase overall around the ecosystem, but the few chosen players like Ludo King and all that, they saw like a 5x or a 10x growth overall within the month of April and March, April and May even, right? So it's an exciting time to be in gaming. It's the area where unlike your movies and TVs and other places, you can just sit at home and create content, right? And maintain the content you've got. You don't need actors, you don't need voice actors, you don't need movie stars. So the content development part becomes super easy, because it's just like geeks like us sitting at home and producing this content. So So that's the exciting part about gaming. And the great thing also, uh, while it's unfortunate, the COVID situation, the great thing is, people have got used to playing games, which they want, right? Because, okay, you might not like shooting each other, but there is probably something else you can do, right? You can build a farm or a farm, build something, or you can play a math game. You can, there are so many genres you can get into, right? So there could be somebody who says, this is something I would never play. There is probably something else for them. So gaming is so diverse. So we feel like COVID forced people to just sit in front of a phone and play games, which wasn't the case before, because the new content wasn't there on TV, new movies weren't coming out. The only new content was produced by gaming, studios and news channels, but none of us want to watch news anymore. So, that way, we've been very lucky and fortunate. And that said, I wanted to come, also talk a little bit about, STPI and what STPI has been doing for us, right? And I'll talk about Hyderabad and also a few other places. STPI has reinvented itself. We've been working with STPI in some form or other for like 20 odd years now, but it's reinvented itself, focusing on products. And one of the new initiatives they have done is Center for Excellence, which both Omkar sir and Subho spoke about. Is it's been they've been doing something interesting in terms of trying to bring together young entrepreneurs and provide them mentorship, provide them funding, provide them a space to work and brainstorm ideas and things like that. So the new initiative, Center for Excellence, so they have like over 29 of them so far, or I mean, sir, you could correct me if I'm wrong. It's I'm part of a couple of them, one here in Hyderabad, and also one in Nagaland, because my wife is from there. But that said, we've been very fortunate that the Hyderabad one focuses on gaming, and there's another vertical within it for AI. And we've been able to bring in like the best mentors in India and abroad to be part of it. And we're now looking for great startups to be part of it, where we are going to give you guys funding. We're going to give you guys a space to work out of, and the best people, best brains to be part of this incubator, so that you can learn from each other. And there's going to be an amazing demo day at the end of the cohort. This is going to be a 6-month period where you're going to go through a mentorship. You're going to learn the process, and eventually we're going to present you in front of well-known investors, and hopefully you would be able to raise additional funds to take your company to the next level. If not, we would equip you with the right tools so that you would be able to do that. So STPI is doing that everywhere in the country. The Hyderabad one, which me and Rajiv are involved in, focuses on gaming, animation, and a few other things. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions on that. Then the next cohort is going to start in about a month or so, or maybe a little more than that. We are in talks to also bring you guys additional funding. So please reach out if you have any more questions there. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. And guys, we're looking at the questions you're posting. There's some esports related questions and all that. We'll take those questions at the end of the session. Thanks again.
तो सुबोध के पास तो है ही है.
Thank you, Sridhar. I think the story which you have presented, I think someone would say something. Sir, please.
No. I was just wondering if you have his presentation.
Yeah. Because
Class you can share.
Sorry.
I mean, if people ask for that presentation, you can share them, na?
Yes.
With his permission. Right?
With his permission, yes. With his permission.
I would want one.
Sure. So I think Sridhar, very interesting facts you have shared. Especially, we were reading about how Ludo King has become the leader in the in this challenging times, right? And I think getting to understand that 5% of Indians are playing that game, right? I think that's enormous, right? 10x revenue jump, I think, and 5x for YesGnome. I think that's something which is which is all the positive. When we, through sessions we have discussed multiple times, and I think while we started session on a note where, on a very serious note, there are challenges, right? There are challenges ahead. But I think over the last 6 sessions, we have also seen that it's spotting the opportunity. I think a lot of people who are listening to us right now and listening to you especially, they would try to gain some knowledge in terms of what are the opportunities there. We'll take a few questions towards the end, but before that, I would now like to introduce Rajiv Chilaka. Rajiv Chilaka, founder and CEO of Green Gold Animation, alumni of Academy of Arts, San Francisco, US. Mr. Rajiv Chilaka's entrepreneurial journey started with a vision of creating an animation studio at par with the best in the world. This took shape with the establishment of Green Gold Animation way back in 2004. In an industry still in very, very nascent stages, his journey has been punctuated with more challenges than opportunities, and lately, I think a lot of opportunities, a lot of success. So, braving the odds, Rajiv has, this through his Hyderabad-based company, has not just created, the most loved and iconic character called Chota Bheem, but also he has been brought life to a lot of other characters like Krishna, and even I was reading through. You started your career, when you started creating and directing and producing. The one of the first thing which we as a childhood were seen. I think you probably brought in a digital avatar of Vikram Betal. I think various. Right from 2005 onwards, till as we sit into 2020, there have been various pieces which has been produced, directed, and created by you. Today, I think you're leading, and what I understand, you're leading 800 artists who have produced 10 shows, 700 episodes, 80 plus TV movies, 6 feature films, right? And I think across segments, whether it's television, whether it is digital, whether it's learning management, whether it is devices, right? I think you have been able to create something new, and a lot of people, including 100 million kids globally, are now seeing you, watching you. We had, as DJs have said, we had an opportunity to visit you, some time back, and I think it was tremendous to see that. What I learned from my last visit was that India's first Netflix original animation series, which is Mighty Little Beam, was also been created and has been very, very successful. And seeing such kind of quality content, especially in animation, coming out of India, coming out of Hyderabad, I think that's something which is we all audience would like to listen to you today. So Rajiv, thank you for coming on this platform, and over to you now, and we would love to hear from you.
Thank you so much. So thank you, Mr. Subodh. Thank you, Dr. Rai. I think for me, it's been an honor that I'm here speaking on the STPI webinar series, and it's wonderful to see so many people, attending this session. To start with, I think we are facing a serious pandemic situation, not just in India, but across the globe. And I think I must appreciate the way the Indian government has handled both at national level and at our state level. I think I was really impressed, and I have friends, and we've been having calls with people at different countries, and everywhere they were complaining. But I felt in India, I think the government did a fantastic job. They communicated very well with the people. They kept announcing dates. I mean, they kept announcing well in time, and they've been doing everything possible to make sure all of us are safe and healthy and stuff. So I hope here everyone in this group are safe and sound, their families healthy, and of course, COVID has been a challenge for all of us. I think even on March 15th, when we were working normally, I had no clue what is going to happen the next 2 months. I think from 22nd March, I think we've been shut down. It's 2 months, and I really never imagined. So it's actually, COVID has affected different people, different industries in different ways. I mean, depending on where you are, I think IT companies had a culture of working from home from the beginning, whereas animation companies or VFX companies specific to them, they did not have the culture of working from home, because the nature of work has been that you have to be at work to discuss creative opportunities, creative ideas, your sketches, your color. It's pretty visual. So, I mean, in the last 2 months, I must say that we have found ways to make people work from home. I mean, thanks to technology, thanks to internet, I mean, we've been able to do that. So we have right now across all our offices in Hyderabad, Mumbai, Kolkata, and Rajahmundry, we have about 1,200 artists who are working. And I'm proud to say that almost 70% of them were able to work from home. Rest 40% were stuck in the villages where they did not have access to a computer or internet. So we had difficulties, but now things are getting back to normal, and we're able to get back people to normal situation. But yeah, I think on the fun side of things, COVID has taught all of us, a lot of things. For example, I had an opportunity to grow my beard. I never had a beard all my life, and suddenly everybody is not able to recognize me. So it's fun. And now I know how much a kilo of maida costs, 47 rupees. I didn't even know how maida was looking before that. I know how much exactly the taxes are now there for a beer or alcohol. I've been observing how much is, sometimes I've seen that imported alcohol is cheaper than domestically produced alcohol. So it baffles me. But it was, I think, amazing human experience. I mean, in fact, I used to wish, because I was one of the hardworking people. I used to work 15 to 18 hours sometimes in a day, and then I used to work Saturdays also. And then Sundays comes, then my wife wants me to take her to malls, and Sundays completely packed. And then where do people like me get rest? So I used to pray. Like, I used to think, why can't there be a day when I just come home and nobody will say, let's go out somewhere, let's go to the mall, or I just used to pray for something like that. And I think God has answered my prayers, but He just extended a lot. So 2 months I'm doing nothing at home. My wife doesn't ask me to do anything, doesn't say let's go here. My kids don't think. But yeah, on a human side, I think it has been personally for me, it has been a blissful 2 months. And I think for me, for my employees who've been working so hard the last decade or two, and suddenly now COVID has given different perspective, and it's all about, I think, how do we utilize this new challenge that we have. And I think everything happens for the best, they say. And I think this also has happened for the best. And like Dr. Rai said earlier, I think India has reacted the best way. And I think we are in for some amazing stuff. So I would just want briefly present and talk about my company, what we are doing. So let me just get started here. Let me share the. Okay. So all right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. All right. So Green Gold is my company, and so it's almost founded in 2004. Prior to that, it was a proprietary concern of mine, founded by me in 2001. So since 2004, it has been a private limited company, and currently we are in India. We're employing about altogether close to 1,400 people, but 1,200 of them are artists, and we are proud that we've been able to create the game changer for Indian animation, that has been Beam. Overall, we produce more than 25,000 minutes of animation, and we've been one of the only company in India to be producing feature films, animated feature films, and we became the first studio from Asia to bag a Netflix original for kids. So we feel very proud when we've been able to achieve. So when we initially made Beam and took to international companies, they said, "Oh, this is Indian. We don't want Indian content." But today the world has changed. There's opportunity, and people understand ethnic differences. They understand cultures, and people started to like that, and that gave us an opportunity and to be on a platform like Netflix. So we do, besides just animation, we do also have partner companies and companies that we have invested or we own majority stakes. We we have our own software company, manufacturing company right here in Hyderabad. We have a gaming and app company called as Tigris Entertainment. We have a, AR, VR, as well as a robotics company, which also does a bit of games, called Gametronics. We have a animation studio in Kolkata, and then we also have a company in USA, and we have a movie production house. We have a licensing and merchandise company. So we've in the last 16 years, we have grown tremendously. And currently, these are a few things that we do. We are producing content, and we produced close to 10 or 12 original shows actually, and we have produced more than 90 television movies, more than 100 comics, 6 theatrical films, more than 750 episodes of about animation series. We also into brand licensing, character merchandising, and a lot more. And so our one of the mother companies of the group is Green Gold Animation, which is pretty much into content production, and starting from Vikram Betal to Krishna to Chot Police to Love Kush, Arjun, and Chota Bheem. Of course, our company is known by Chota Bheem. Everybody who meets me says my name as Rajiv Chota Bheem, so which I feel very proud. And then we have produced shows, other shows like Mighty Raju, Super Beam, Kalari Kids, and more recently we have come up with the Kung Fu Dhamaka series based on Chota Beam, and Mighty Little Beam, which I earlier spoke, and I'll speak a little bit more about it in the future. So starting from 2004 to 2020, we have come a long way in the sense we have worked with all the biggest media companies in the world, whether it is Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney, Turner, or Sony, or our own Doordarshan, or Discovery, Nickelodeon, Viacom. We have worked with who's who of the entertainment world. When we started out, we had no idea whether we'll be able to achieve this, but today, I mean, thanks to the fantastic team we have, we've been able to achieve this. And of course, not just on television entertainment channels, we've been also working with digital platforms, international TV stations, airlines, and a lot more. And besides just producing our own show, we also, in the last 2 years, we started also co-productions or service jobs, because we've realized that our size has become huge, and we are risking that if we are only into original productions, we are risking our business model. So we started to some co-production, and we have done some international and domestic this thing. We work with Japanese company. We produced in the last in 2019 we produced 24 episodes of Ninja Hattori with one of the most ancient one of the most respected Japanese animation studio. From there to we worked with Sony A, which was producing one of the first channels to produce only domestic content, to YouTube channels such as Moonbug, where we work with them and produce a lot of episodes for them. And we also have currently producing the #1 show in kids platform, in kids networks, which is Rudra Boom Chicka Boom, which is on Nickelodeon. And then we also working with Sony A on Kiko and Speedo. At the same time, we've also been working on newer IPs, and we're trying to become not just an Indian a company with an Indian identity, but we're also trying to become a company, let's say, which also have present not just India or Asia, but also global. And we opened offices in LA, and more, it is not a sales office, it's more a creative. So we started hiring writers, designers, people who have experience working on DreamWorks feature films or Disney feature films, to writers who have worked on, or to even hiring directors who have won Oscar awards. So we've been doing everything that is needed for us, our company, to go on to the next level. And of course, our first international experience launch was Mighty Little Beam, which was in 190 countries, which went on to con phenomenally well. Now we are doing some co-production. Nebula, which is we're doing co-production with a Japanese company. We're also producing Escape to India with Mundaloco, which is a Argentina-based company, and it's currently being directed by Oscar-winning Oscar-winning directors called Campanella. So we're very excited. The future looks really bright for us. But none of this has been possible without our stepping stone to success, which has been the brand of Beam. And launched in about April 6, 2008. In 12 years, I think basically my life and our company's life turned upside down because of this one character, Beam. And it went on, it has been the torchbearer, not just for our company, but for entire Indian animation industry. And I mean, it has been the longest running animated show. And most recently, it also aired on Doordarshan. I think during the COVID times, there was a request from Doordarshan, and Pogo allowed them also to air, and we see Doordarshan has seen 20 times rise in their TRP when Beam was played. So Beam again has cut across all platforms, irrespective of just television or OTT platform, and also it has cut across the Indian diaspora, whether you're in South, North, Delhi or Northeast, everywhere people recognize Beam, not just urban but also rural. In fact, rurally it is much more popular than it is urban. And I mean, we're blessed to have somebody like Beam backing us all the time. And since 2008, we have many avatars of Beam, and the most recent avatar, of course, has tasted successful success not just in India but across the globe. And of course, Beam's these are various versions. We had Beam launch as a 2D character. We tried 3D in between. Now we are again doing 2D and also different avatars. And of course, we went to a prequel of Beam, and we made a baby version of Beam and Mighty Little Beam. And of course, the who's who of the world, the FMCG companies have also at some point licensed Beam for their products. Beam has been on Parle G biscuit packets, to Horlicks, to Savlon. I think if you have noticed, I'm sure we would have all bought a lot of liquid soap. I think Beam is on Savlon packets, liquid soap. So he's been there from yogurt to ketchup to milk. Everywhere Beam has been there, including Beam has even promoted movies for Bollywood stars, from Amitabh Bachchan to Tiger Shroff to every month. So I mean, it's been totally a dream come true for us. And to top the icing on the cake was when Beam took off in 190 countries, and it became the most watched preschool show on Netflix. Even the only show that it is in kids 2 to 14. If you go, it's the number 2 show, and in preschool it's number 1, and next only to Boss Baby of DreamWorks, which is a much more expensive production than is Beam. So we felt really proud that way the content is being received. And outside of India, I think the last year, Beam was watched on 27 million households. That is, example, if you 27 million household is more than population of the traffic at an airport, let's say at a Hyderabad airport, international airport or domestic put together, it's more than that size of an entire year. So 27 million households have viewed the show across the globe. It's something that Netflix never imagined also. So when Netflix signed this deal with us, they were thinking of winning Indian audiences, but they were surprised when Beam went on to not just win audiences in India, but also in Latin America, in Europe, in various parts of the world. Going on to, besides Beam, of course, Beam has opened different revenue streams for our company. We had opportunities to get into licensing, and since 2012, we've been the number one. Beam has been the number one licensed character in India, and beating any international character, whether it's Disney or whoever it is. It's been constantly in the top licensed characters from the last 8 years or so. And Lima is, of course, international licensing. It's a body very well respected in licensing and merchandise industry. And they research everywhere they found Beam has been the most loved character in terms of merchandise or licensing and stuff. And it's continuing to do that. Now, with Mighty Little Beam, we have an opportunity to not just do do products in India, but also internationally. So we had great presence. But more recently, we also realized that the world is changing. So from television to OTT platform, we realized that now we need to be everywhere. So we'd been contemplating in last few years ago whether we should have our own kids channel and start with that. A lot of investors came up and said they were interested to back us up if we're doing. We thought about it. Then we knew that the stage is changing. We knew that OTT platforms are the new way. Again, the thought came now that should we go and do our own OTT platform? But then I think our strength is creating content, and I thought we should stick to that strength. And now we started to work with platforms, digital platform, OTT platforms across the world. So we're pretty much there on all international, well-known platforms, whether it Amazon Prime or Hotstar or Disney Hotstar to Wood Kids to Z5 to Sony Live to of course Netflix and Amazon Prime. And today we launched in a Telugu platform, AHA. So we have launched our shows on Telugu platform. So animation luckily has got universal appeal. So you can dub easily the content into any language and present it internationally. And we've been able to do that. And a little bit more, basically, in the past decade or so, we've been doing anything from creating IPs to services to writing scripts, concepts, and everything. And we've been pretty much from creating to delivering to feature films, distributing feature films. We've been there and done that, and we have learned everything the hard way, because when we started doing things, there were nothing out there for us. So again, one thing that I think 3-4 years ago, I happened to meet a very successful businessman, and who was also spiritual in nature. I asked him advice, like, what do you think I should do in order to keep up with this fast-changing world? He told me a very, very simple thing. He just said, keep investing in technology, and that way you'll be ahead of the race of everyone else. And that's what we've been doing. And we kept upgrading our facilities to infrastructure, and that's what is paying us off today, because in these times our infrastructure is ready to even function from home, and that's been a wonderful thing. So we've been working, making sure technical infrastructure is right there in place, and just this little bit about our other companies. So we have a company in Kolkata. In fact, a huge storm in Kolkata yesterday, and adding further to the problems they already have. I think the cyclone was pretty intense, and luckily all of our team has been safe. But there has been power cuts and stuff, so the temporary little bit of slowdown there. But other than that, we are all right. We also have a studio in Rajmundry, and and then we have some games that are happening between us. And we also have, I mentioned you about the soft toy factory. This is a glimpse of that. And we also so during the COVID times, I've written a story. So usually I write also, and in the last 4 years or so I haven't written, but I had the opportunity to write, and I pitched a show to AHA, and which is basically a hybrid show wherein there's animated character as well as live action characters. And I pitched them, they love it, so we're on the verge of signing it. Fingers crossed. Let's hope that, and that will be produced under a different banner, because it's a live action, is something that we're doing, something new. And then we also have invested into an OTT platform in Philippines and Southeast Asia called Pop TV. Basically, we are trying to enter smaller countries where there have not been OTT platforms. Bigger OTT platforms have not have a presence yet. So this is briefly on our company. I'll just play a quick video just for, I said, I talked a lot about Mighty Little Beam. I thought I should show you all how it looks. All right.
Oh,
So I hope the video played well. So that's briefly basically about the company and stuff. But going back to the, I think the COVID-19 stuff, I think one thing, a lot of things are going to change from here. And one thing that we are figuring out, I think we realize now that earlier we were building a debt in as TVAGA. And TVAGA is I'm also president of TVAGA, which stands for Telangana Visual Effects Animation and Gaming Association. And every year we are doing a lot under that, including India's largest entertainment platform called as India Joy. And so here we realized earlier we were building databases of companies and how we do this, but now we realize that with all the new things happening, now we have to build database of each and every single employee, be it animator, VFX artist, or other people. I think the VFX industry again has suffered a lot because of COVID, because there's no shootings and stuff happening, and we also have a challenge that whatever they produce in the past, they have to process and get into things. That means people have to come to the studios to do, which has been a challenge for them. But I think that is an industry that is facing a bigger challenge than animation is, because in as of now in animation we are able to go beyond just working from office. So in the future for our company, I think we plan a lot of work from home, because this is a lesson that we've learned from COVID, that we cannot be having another situation that will come in the future and we are not ready for that. I think now we will all be ready and get up, and God knows when this lockdown will finally end. But nevertheless, we've been ready, and we've gotten a lot of appreciation from the networks and stuff that we're working, and a lot of work from international also started to come towards us, because a lot of studios, whether based out of Europe or other parts of the world, are unable to handle this situation more effectively. So I think Indian studios have been efficiently handling this. I think we will see a lot more work coming towards India. I think, which would be great, and I think we have to be ready for this new challenge. But it will be a positive challenge, and we are ready for the challenge. And me and Sridhar will also be ready to help anyone who are from this industry who needs help. A lot of companies in the recent times have been reaching out to me, small companies, and they've heard about this MSME loan, and which of course I think it's been announced a little while, but yet banks have to receive any update on that. So we're figuring out, talking to banks on how to do that. I'll give you an example. In the US office, we have the local government there has paid us 8 weeks of salary and rent for everyone who has been on the rolls. And suddenly we were worried, what do we do with the US office, because that has been on a very high end expenditure for us. We were worried, what do we do that? And within there was an announcement that the government will take care of it. 3 days later, we had the money in the bank, and that was fantastic. I think we had good things also happening. We got a GST refund and all. A lot of great things happened which we didn't anticipate. But I think companies, if you remove companies like ours, there is a lot of these small companies that need help from the government, basically that loan or whatever. So I think if STPI and all, we all can work towards helping these companies, that'll be great for them. And I think, as you guys rightly said, we have the reason for this platform is to promote entrepreneurship, and we have to help. So that means we have to help startups, and startups are people who need this kind of things right now. And so we are there if there's anything that we can do. And thank you for your patience. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajiv. I think the last 25 minutes or 30 minutes has been really interesting to hear from you. And I'll come to the later part of what you just said in terms of how we can help entrepreneurs. But I think you rightly said that, there are certain industries which are probably not ready for work from home. And taking the challenge ahead, what we call as, taking the challenge of how you have enabled, or how the creative industry has enabled to work from home. And also at the same time, it's not about the current challenge, but I think the journey which you described over the last so many years, I think the biggest achievement which I see, which a lot of entrepreneurs will have to learn, from you, is very clearly that there has to be creativity and passion, which has been always been your driver, right? With the creativity and passion and thinking it through. And I understand you have been a very, very engineering focused person to start with, but then you brought in creativity and passion as your first preference and merged the engineering with aspects of that, right? And at the same time, you have been able to think through the various aspects of businesses, right? I think whether it was production, whether it was post production, whether it was various platforms of where to land your creativity, right? I think that has been the hallmark, and I think that's what our startups and entrepreneurs must learn. And at the same time, I think checks and balances you talked about in terms of having an urge to go deeper, for example, getting into your own OTT platforms or getting your own kids channel, but at the same time understanding where your strength lies. I think that's a good, very, very, very good message for a lot of people who will be hearing now as well as in future from you. With that note, I think I would request a couple of questions. I see right now one active video user also. Okay. So I see Darshik. Darshik is a very, very looks like a young kid. Darshik, over to you. You wanted to ask some question?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Darshik.
Namaste, sir. My name is Darshik Tiwari. I'm 8 years old. I study in class 4. I have some questions to ask you. There are 3 questions which I want to ask to you. My first question is why Bean is not a superhero?
Rajiv, to you.
Okay, so that's it. Very nice to meet you, and maybe surprised to be an 80-year-old on this webinar. But obviously, Beam is a superhero. I think for Indians, it is the first character that has gone up. So when, for example, when I grow up, my father, can I go meet Spider-Man or Superman? And he always told me, if I have to meet them, I have to go to the US. And in those days, going to US was almost impossible. And today, kids are growing up with their own heroes. Beam is there. Of course, Beam is a superhero. I mean, a superhero is a superhero, not a person who just flies. Superhero is a person who puts others before himself, and that is Beam. And thank you. Other questions.
Okay, sir. So my next question is why does Bean not grows up? So
Okay.
he's a kid. Sir, he's a
I hope I hope your question is not who will be married should cure in the world. I hope that's not the question. But anyway, so we, see in animation, we have to relate to the future. Just for you, Darshik, will definitely create him as a teenager. When you will become, by the time you are 15, you'll make sure there's a elder version of Beam also. But usually, typically in animation, we try to keep it relatable to the age group that we produce the show for, which is usually typically the fans of Beam are in the age group of 4 to 8 years old, and we typically try to keep that. And Beam has always been that age group, so Beam will remain like this even 100 years later. But there will be different avatars of Beam. So I don't know if you've seen Mighty Little Beam. You can find him on YouTube or on Netflix. So that's a baby version of Beam. And just for you, at some point in the future, we will make young Beam, probably 18 years of age or something, and very sweet of you. What's the other question?
Sir, my last question is, who will be the wife of Bhim when he gets elder? Bhim, Chutki or Indumati?
Okay, so by the time you're 16, you will get this answer yourself.
Okay, sir.
This is a secret right now because Beam will be angry at me if I tell him what will happen. He'll be angry, and the girls Chutki or Indumati also will be angry. So I'm going to keep going on this question. At some point in the future, I will. But by the time you're 16, you know who is going to marry.
Okay, sir.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
thank you. And I think, just Rajiv, to answer your question, we got a special request, a very special request from, this young kid that he, as soon as he heard about, we are bringing you on, on this platform. And he said he has questions and he was not, forthcoming with his questions, but he wanted to interact with you. So thank you, Rajiv, for, doing this answer. And thank you, Darshik. I think we'll go to our next questions. Yeah. I think we are getting Narendra Nawale. Yes, Narendra, we can probably hear you. Uh,
Yeah, can you hear me?
yeah, we can hear you. Obviously, we can't see
Yeah,
you
yeah,
right now, but we can hear
yeah,
you.
yeah. There is a problem because
No.
my net fiber is broken, so I'm putting it on mobile, and somehow it is running well.
Yeah.
So
Good.
actually, I really appreciate. I mean, Sridhar ji and Rajiv ji. It was so inspiring. I mean, amazing to know all these things. Actually, I've been into industry. Omkar sir, my one request and query I typed also in chat. This post COVID, there will be a lot of changes in dimensions of our life everywhere. So what I want to know is how STPI is taking initiative in application of this gamification in engineering and technology sector, which will be the huge era of forthcoming future for all the generations, including childs also, as well as those actually into the the core profession as well. So myself being experienced into this engineering and technology and equally into this animation and visualization, but we always been into industry and technology based animations, wherein these design studios or the innovations have been visualized
Sure.
the next level. So my this query is there: how STPI is taking initiative in this sector? Apart from the way it is, we have seen now the entertainment sector is one part, but this engineering and this technology field, wherein there is a huge potential of application of this gamification in this
Yeah.
near future. From the terms of, you can say, industry 4.0, artificial intelligence, and of this artificial intelligence, which will be the AR and VR, it's a backbone.
Correct. Yes, I think, thank you, Narendra. I think, sir, over to you. Yeah.
So point is that it's actually more a suggestion than the question. What I would say that before COVID itself, STPI has planned to create centers of excellence, primarily to promote the technology resources, and startup ecosystem around that. So for that, we had already planned to create centers of excellence. I would say that we have a center of excellence in Bhubaneswar on augmented reality and virtual reality, a center of excellence in Hyderabad on gaming, animation, visual effect, computer vision, and artificial intelligence. And the center of excellence that we have in Pune is autonomous, connected, electric, and shared vehicle. Center of excellence in IoT in Bangalore. Center of excellence in Meditech in Bangalore. Center of excellence in Meditech in Lucknow. Center of excellence in FinTech in Chennai. So on and so on. So the point is that it's your suggestion, and post COVID, all our centers of excellence will be rolled out in due course of time. If you feel that there is a requirement of a focused center of excellence in the kind of gamification technology, you just let us know. The point is that all these centers of excellence that we are creating are going to talk to each other, collaborate to each other, and therefore a entrepreneur and a startup can use all our facilities wherever they want to use it. So you can remain at one place and use our labs and facilities of other place. You can access our mentor pool, experts, and all. So I would just wait for your suggestion, and we will take it forward wherever we can facilitate. Actually, STPI is an ecosystem enabler, and therefore, whatever is required by the industry startup ecosystem, we try to facilitate that. That is what we would do in future too.
Just to add to that, we do have, yeah, I just wanted to add to that.
Just a minute. I think Karan, you're just been. Can you put yourself on mute?
Yeah. So I just
Sure.
wanted to add to that. If you are into technology or engineering sector and you want to use any of these, you want to build VR related solutions, there are we have ecosystem partners as part of some of our Center for Excellences like Unreal Engine or Unity and others. They provide those solutions and almost free of charge if you're going to experiment and learn. So I would recommend go check it out. Unity also has a Center for Excellence, their own, not through STPI, but in Cochin, I think, which does this, which is engineering and technology sector focused. So you could look into it. But my recommendation right now is you don't necessarily have to wait for a Center for Excellence from us or from STPI to come up. You can start looking at Unreal Engine or Unity right now and start exploring that. And these are almost free to use, so you should be able to do it.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Sridhar. And we have Karan also now. Karan is from Drish Infotech. Karan, please go ahead with your question. You put yourself on mute and unmute yourself here.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for this great session. I think STP has done a great job, in this during this lockdown period, providing so many insightful sessions. Gaming is particularly interesting to me because like both of the speakers here, I've been passionate about gaming since I was a kid, and most of my software development career has been pretty much guided by the pursuit of making games. So although I'm representing Drish Infotech, my question's more about me as a hobbyist programmer, and I make games as a hobby. So the question is, between the two of you, one of you approached a licensing approach where you took a Star Trek franchise and built a game on top of that, and Mr. Chilaka, on the other hand, built a character and started licenses around that. What do you see as a more approachable, for an indie game development company in India, a small group, what do you see as a more viable approach? And in case one has to choose, let's say, the approach of Mr. Chilaka's, then where do you find funding for that kind of franchise development, right? Because that's another problem that we see in the market right now.
Rajiv, I'll take this first, and then you can answer after that. So just to start off, right? If you can pull off your own IP, you have like a unique style, you have a unique story you can tell, and you can figure out how do you get it to your audience. I would recommend actually owning your own IP, like any day, right? But that's hard work. I mean, Raju is a genius. I mean, he's a rock star here in Hyderabad, actually in India. So it's a lot of work, and being able to pull that off is like, I'm assuming is amazing satisfaction. If you can do that, that's always the way to go. Now, for us, we went with licensing IPs because we wanted to figure out discoverability on the App Store. We want to figure out how do we make our games more marketable, right? It's at the end of the day, unit economics. You get one download, how much money can you make, right? So if you can make more money per user, how do you figure out a way to bring your user acquisition cost down so that it's still cash flow positive or ROI is there? So when you have an IP game, like, Rajiv will actually talk a little bit more about that too, is like when you have an IP game like Star Trek, or even when you say Chota Bheem Runner game, right? That automatically has that recall value, nostalgia, and other things, which would basically bring your user acquisition cost down by like almost 50%, sometimes even 100%. It's also marketable, right? Your platforms like Apple, Google, and others would probably feature you more because there's that visible thing about them. So that's the reason we went for it, and we've been successful. We had like an insane number of organic downloads which came in because we were using a well-known brand. So kind of a low-hanging fruit, but it has pros and cons, right? If you do go after getting your own IP, there are a lot of restrictions in terms of what you can do, which is, you need to figure out, you need to be true to the IP, right? I mean, Raju worked, 16 years building this IP or 14 years building this IP. He won't want you to screw it up by doing something else with it, right? So you have to be true to IP. So you have to work with the partner figuring out how do you present their brand well. As a game developer, again working with that restriction at the end of the day. You want to do a lot of things, you can't, right? So there are limitation to it. So both sides it works. They have put in effort, so they want to protect their brand. We want to get the most out of that brand. So you have to balance that. Same time, go ahead, Raj.
Oh, I thought you were done. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, Karan, I think good question. So basically, there's no right or wrong way to approach anything. I think it's all about, like I said earlier, your strength on how you want to do it. See, it is not every company has the strength of product and service. Usually, you'll have one strength, which is a product. That product that is creating your own product, whatever it is, whether it's a game or a movie or whatever it is, and the other is service. So usually, a company has one mindset. It could be either one of them. Very rarely you'll find both in one same company. So it's important to know what is your strengths are and focus on that. Because if your strength are service, there's nothing wrong to do that. And same time, if your strength is product development and you want to create a product, there will be a lot of challenges. Of course, funding would be the first challenge that you would be facing. In spite of doing so many things, we still find difficulty when we say we have a new idea, we want to do this, and nobody will fund it because they will think, oh, but what is the guarantee it'll work? So everybody has this question, and basically sometimes you need to find these risk takers. Basically, could be an angel investor or somebody who is in your circle of people, or by networking. I think you can meet these guys and pitch for the funding, because that's something which is not going to be easy to get, especially more in the years to come, I think, with money being tight. But great question. Good luck for the future.
Thank you so much. Thanks. And just kind of, if I add on top of this, is it possible, sir? Do we have another minute?
Just go ahead. Yeah, very, very quickly. Yeah.
So, Mr. Muppidi, thank you for your insight as well. I wanted to thank both of you. What do you see as a good, percentage split between, an already established IP when you reach out to them for, let's say, Star Trek kind of franchise? What's the kind of a split? Is it more like a service contractor, for agreement, or is it more of a, revenue split, or is it more of a profit split? What do you see there?
So, it's actually Rajiv would be a better person to talk about it, but I would give you from a consumer and somebody who's trying to acquire an IP point of view. It's based on how much minimum guarantee you're willing to give, how much guarantee that you're gonna say that the IP owner is gonna make. So if you say, hey, I'm gonna make you $1 million, then you're basically saying in 3 years I'm gonna give you $1 million guarantee. In which case you can basically say, on top of that I'll give you 20% of the revenue. So once you recoup the $1 million, right? So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it, and I can't give you any guarantee, but as you can see, I have this amazing idea, I have this amazing art, and I have this portfolio of work, and I think it's going to be a huge hit. But I can't guarantee that I'm gonna give you, even if I fail, right? In which case you probably have to shell out more, but never more than 50. 50% is probably what the maximum you can go, and also the terms should be after you recoup other expenses like your user acquisition expense or server cost expenses or things like that. So you are gonna do revenue share on your net revenue, not on gross revenue. So that's the thing you need to watch out for. Minimum guarantee is what what everything is going to be dependent on. And of course, Rajiv knows the other side of it. He's probably done hundreds of these deals.
Right. Thanks for that. Yes, Mr.
Sorry, I'll just add one thing. So sometimes, we have to see at the things that we generally don't see. So, for example, in licensing, so every day when I was passing at the signal, you would have seen all of you would have seen Chota Beam balloons, or on car you have found those what do you call it, the shaders which Chota Beam printed and stuff like that. So when we saw this, immediately the first thought of a lot of people was, hey, why it is piracy? You should stop that. Then I thought, no, it's an opportunity for our brand to become bigger. So sometimes, as long as your brand is becoming bigger, it will be okay if you don't make money on it. So you always have to measure what you get versus what you give, and also have to be smart enough to understand that if you stop something, is it going to help your industry? No, sometimes not. I think I'm more happy that the people on the street are making some money of licensing than trying to do the other way. But of course, the interns usually there is a minimum guarantee or license fees per year. So there are many ways you can structure a licensing deal. It's pretty complicated. Whether you're buying or selling license, it's not as simple. You have to be very careful. You have to have a team of lawyers who are advising you because sometimes accidentally you can end up selling off the brand. So you need to be very careful there. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Just to add to what Raju said was, it's like, it's very important to have that part in your proposal, being able to say what value you will add to the brand. The brand is already doing well, right? But you want it, but you also want to mention why you want it and what you can do for them, right? As Raju said, hey, okay, if you can say, hey, I'm going to take this brand to 4 billion people, right? So you have to tell that story. It's all about telling the story and, hopefully getting the best deal.
Yeah, thank you for the answer. We are just almost 1.5 hours into our session now, and we'll just quickly wrap up. But one question which I think I see on the question boxes, from Sandeep Sudagani, and he's asking, especially with Google Stadia, with Apple Arcade, right, and few other platforms coming up with Netflix for gaming business model, how does it affect Indian game developers? I think that's one question. Other question is on the esports and various opportunities, especially in terms of monetization and funding. I think that's two quick questions we would like to take before we probably end. And I'll also scroll through any other questions, but for these two questions, yeah.
So Sandeep, to answer your question about what's going on with Stadia and Arcade, nothing much. They are another subscription service, and it's great, but they're very, very selective about who gets in there. So while they're disruptive in the premium gaming space, but none of us were anyway trying to get into premium gaming space because it's so difficult to be there, right? So I would say, while they're a great platform, and if you have an amazing game, you could always take there. But where it's guaranteed revenue, right? These service providers will give you whatever it's going to cost you to build, and then probably margins on top of it, like similar to if you get your game on Netflix and other movie show or on Netflix and others. So it's similar model, but it's not as disruptive as we thought it's going to be. So we'll see. Next 1-2 years we'll see. But at the moment it's not as disruptive. So nothing much changed. People are still downloading free-to-play games. People are still playing them. So nothing much changed there. Now getting on to Jitin's questions on esports related topics. Right now from the industry point of view, we are making them aware about what esports is, like how people play it, how that could be a career from a player point of view or the sportsman point of view, and what is involved, right? So that we are already doing from the industry point of view. The associations are educating the government, and government is already well aware of what's going on, right? They're investing through funding some of these events already, bigger ones obviously. So from your end, the question about, hey, how do I get funding and all that? The best way to do is find yourself a game developer who has a massive upcoming game ideally, and get them to fund it. Don't think of angels and VCs yet, because that's going to take time. And with the COVID thing right now, physical events aren't really happening. So stay away from that. Stick to online events and get developers to fund it, because that's where the money is. Do you want more users to play their games, more users to watch and play it, and things like that. So get developers to fund it. That's where the money is.
Thank you. I think we just will take our last question from Rajesh. Rajesh Vyas, I think you have one quick question. Yeah.
Yeah, are you able to hear me?
Raj, go ahead.
Okay. See, my question is regarding the AR and VR scenario when it comes to digital creators. And I guess the shopping experience which is required for AR and VR has not yet taken up in India the way it has been taken up globally. So
Yeah.
I would be very happy in case some light is put on the AR and VR scenario when it comes to creative industry. It is e-commerce, or it might be a shopping experience, or it might be a entertainment industry also. So I would.
Right, and just to add on to that, and I think this was, I thought, Rajesh has asked a very pertinent question in terms of, is there going to be change in terms of online experiences, given the lockdown has forced people to be there, right? And obviously e-commerce was there, and all those things were there, but experience were also one of the seen as, inhibitants in terms of not driving such shopping experiences. So do you think there is going to be an uptake of, AR, VR around the same? So, to you, Rajiv or Sridhar?
Yeah, I'll take this one, Sridhar, first, and then you can add on to it.
Okay. So, as a first step, Raju, did you say you wanted to speak first?
Go ahead.
Sorry about that. So, reality is VR didn't take off in consumer space, and I don't see that happening anytime soon because of the limitations of the technology still. You still need a big computer and everything, as well as equipment itself is insanely expensive. So consumer space, it hasn't taken off. But the biggest thing it has taken off is in the enterprise space, the healthcare, the other industries where you want those immersive experiences both for training as well as critical operations. So AR VR, that's where the investment is going into. It's not going into consumer space. So we don't see, at least not in foreseeable future, like next 3 years, we don't see major change in terms of consumer adoption. But like any other technology, right? Remember, I mean, I don't know most of you if you remember, but some of us probably used to access internet through internet cafes, right? We didn't have internet at home and all that. Same thing with AR VR right now, VR primarily. That's going to change in about 5 years when the technology becomes cheap. There's more content available, and that's when it's going to become interesting. But not for a few more years. So if you're going to invest in the enterprise space, not on the consumer one.
Okay, should we go to the next question? Because
Just 1 second. Sridhar, what you said now, yes, I agree on that. But most of the immersive things happen through the consumers itself. The enterprises provide the solution so that the consumers use it.
So, I mean, our definition of when I say consumer is it 4 billion people around the world would they want or would they have the need to use it, right? That's what I mean by consumer. It's like WhatsApp, it's like Facebook, it's like the need to use. Everybody can use it. When I say only doctors can use it, that's not consumers. That's enterprise solution, right? So when you're talking individual sector specific usage, it becomes enterprise solution. So that's how we define in the industry. So it's not a consumer solution as of right now. Maybe in 3 years, as I said, it would change, but not yet.
Right. I think we take the last quick question. I see one question with respect to opportunities for jobs, right? And especially what kind of skill sets, right? And I think Rajiv talked about creativity and a lot of other parameters. But if somebody, job seekers, are listening to us, what is the message they take it from this session?
Rajiv, you want to go first?
Yeah. So I think, in terms of education, again, some new doors have opened thanks to COVID. I think online education is something that is going to become bigger by the day. I think the people who are already ahead of the game, like Byju's and other things, I think they will become stronger players. I think same time I have seen that all the schools in Hyderabad or all the international schools across the country have started getting into that sector, because suddenly you realize what if the school doesn't open? How do they make the money? Or what do they do as a school? At the same time, with every industry is concerned, I think whether it's animation industry, gaming, I think
Rajiv? Oh, we lost Rajiv. So just, let me add a couple of things to that. Okay, go ahead, Rajiv. You're back.
Yeah, sorry. So I think it's pretty tricky the way I think everything is the way that we are functioning so far. Everything is going to change in terms of online classes and from arenas and
अभी कितना 1 घंटा 8 मिनट हुआ
all these guys. We have to figure out how do they refunction, readjust, and all. I think it is totally going to change, and education, the way we have grown up to, is going to change, and I think it's a good change to have. I think if you can save time in commuting and everything like that, that's fantastic. And all these tools of multimedia, internet, video, graphics, especially when you are explaining chemistry or physics and all, the tools that are going to be used are based on animation or gaming and stuff like that. I think I mean I also see already there are a lot of games that are teaching you English or spelling bees kind of things, puzzles on thing. All these are already educational, and I think the future wise, I think the curriculum will be also much more different than what we see it. I think again everybody is pretty surprised with this COVID. It will take 2 or 3 years for everything to come in a different world that we are going to see, and we will all, I think, the world will be more interesting. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a couple of things to it, right? One of the biggest thing, is gaming right now. Like yearly, it makes $140 billion, and it's gonna be like $300 billion in like next 4 or 5 years, right? By comparison, Hollywood movie industry makes $48 billion, right? So it's like 3x more than the movie industry. So the content development, people who are building video games or mobile games, this is like an amazing career to invest on, and there's never going to be a shortage of jobs, right? If you're a student, there are two practical things you need to do. If you're on the animation side or art side, make sure you have a portfolio. Make sure you create an amazing portfolio of work which you can show potential employers like us. If you're an engineer, then we expect you to have work, games you built or things you have done which you can show, right? Those are the two things you need to work on as a student. Make sure you have a portfolio of work you can show, right? And that's how you're going to get a job. So don't worry about having experience, as long as you can show us something substantial, something great, right? That's about it. And just to say, for every if I can find 10,000 people tomorrow at the right price and skilled people, we could probably hire them, right? So there are so many jobs. It's just that there isn't enough talent. So put in the effort, learn the skills, and there are plenty of jobs.
Thank you. I think we have so last thoughts from you, because we have almost overran by close to 15 minutes already now, or 20 minutes in fact. Sorry. So unmute yourself and last thoughts from you before we close.
See, there is no thought to share. In fact, I equally benefited like others from the talks, both from Sridhar and Rajiv. I am sure that others might have been benefited more than me. There are few other questions which has been replied. Do we have any mechanism to pass on these questions and we can post subsequently?
Yes, we get all the questions, and we have people.
Nalini Kumari has asked a question.
So we
we
discussed that question already. Yeah.
Actually, you discussed, right?
Yeah. So that was on the on the opportunity.
Things are over. That is what I mean. I must say that it was a very interesting session. I'm sure that it was great, and we will meet again after a few months' time, so that we keep on doing it time and again for the benefit of the people and the participants, right?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir, and thank you, DJ sir, and thanks a lot, Sridhar, and thanks a lot, Rajiv, to be on this platform. I think, as DJ sir has put, right, we as being on this side, we have learned a lot. I'm sure the audience has learned a lot from both of you guys. So thanks for your time. Thanks for taking time from your busy schedule. And to the audience, stay tuned, for the upcoming weeks, and we will have these sessions typically on each Friday. So I'll be having all of you back next Friday again. So thank you, Sridhar. Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Stay safe, everyone.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.